Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to What's Cooking in Bert's Kitchen. Now today, I'm going to make a recipe I've never tried before, so I'm playing this one off the top of my head. And what we're going to make today is some bacon brownies. My friend Chris was talking about chocolate-covered bacon. We got to the discussion, decided I'm going to go ahead and try and put some bacon into some brownies and see what we come up with. So there's a pretty good chance that I may fail on this one. So watch intently. First thing we're going to need is some bacon. Here I have 8 strips of maple bacon. I figure with a sweet brownie, I want something that's got a little interesting flavor rather than a smoky flavor. Not quite so much salt content, so I'm going with a maple bacon. Still going to have quite a bit of salt in it, but I believe that this is going to work. So I have 8 strips of bacon set out here. Now, we're going to bake this in the oven. So what you want to do is you want to turn your oven on. To 350 degrees, and as soon as it starts preheating, it's going to give a blast of heat in that oven, which you need for your bacon, so you want to put your bacon in right now. And you want to set your timer for 10 minutes. We don't want this bacon super crispy. We want it to just sort of start to brown up a bit, slightly, ever so slightly undercooked. Because we're also going to bake it with the brownie, it's going to crisp up a little bit more. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much bacon I'm going to need, so that's why I went with 8 strips. I figure that's going to be more than enough. And if there's some left over, breakfast. Now, while that's working, we want to start on our brownies. First thing you're going to need is a double boiler. That requires a pot with 1.5 inches of water in it. We're going to set that on the stove, place a bowl on top of it, and get that water heating up and boiling. Into this bowl, I've showed you this before, but into this bowl we want to put 1 stick of butter, and 4 ounces of unsweetened baker's chocolate. Now this is an 8-ounce box. They come in little 1-ounce squares, so we want 4 of those, obviously. The reason we want to use unsweetened, so we can control the sugar content in our brownie. We can add as much or as little as we want. So while that is starting to melt, we're going to get another bowl. We're going to add in the other ingredients that we're going to need to make our brownies. In this bowl, we're going to add 2 cups of sugar, and 4 eggs. We want to whip that really well. Get all of that combined. Make sure all of that sugar dissolves into the eggs. Now you could use an electric beater to do this. That's perfectly fine. I just like to whip it by hand. It's the manly thing to do. And you want to whip it up well. Make sure it's all completely dissolved in there. And it becomes a very, very pale yellow, almost white. And thick. This is the color we're looking for. Okay, so 10 minutes is up. Let's check on our bacon. Not quite where I wanted. It's starting to crisp up. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes. Meanwhile, our chocolate is still melting here. And the important thing to do is to make sure you stir quite regularly, get it moving around. It'll melt quicker, A, and B, we don't want it to seize up on us. That's another issue here with our double boiler. You want a bowl that flares out, and that keeps the steam moving away from the center of the bowl, because just one drop of water in here will just cause everything to seize up, and seized chocolate is just, there's no recovering from it. So okay, so our extra 2 minutes is up. And our bacon is beautiful. That's exactly where we want it, looking exactly like that. What we want to do with our bacon is move it to a plate lined with a couple of paper towels and let it drain. It'll crisp up quite a bit as all the grease drains off. So we're going to set that aside to cool and drain. And we'll get rid of that aluminum. One thing you'll notice in working with me in the kitchen, you'll see me handling a lot of hot stuff with my bare hands. Be careful. Use pot holders, oven mitts, whatever you need to. I've been working in kitchens for years, and I've kind of got Teflon fingers. I can grab a little certain hot things and move them quickly. But if you don't cook a whole heck of a lot, please be careful. I don't want to see anybody hurt themselves. If while you're doing this you notice that your chocolate has become chunky and dried and not glossy and liquidy, you will know that your chocolate has seized. 86 it, clean the bowl, make sure it's completely dry, and start over. Just put it in the trash, wash the bowl really well. Make sure that it's nice and dry before you start this, because water and chocolate don't really mix. Unless you're making instant hot cocoa, and that's a whole nother issue, and you don't want to watch me turn green. Just start over, though. Now our chocolate has become nice, slick, glossy and completely melted. We want to get it out of the double boiler and into our brownie mixture. So here are eggs and sugar that we mixed up earlier. A lot of recipes will tell you to let this cool a bit in order to keep your eggs from... I've never really had a problem bringing it off of here because we're using a double boiler. It's just melted. It's not boiling hot. If you were doing it in a microwave, I would suggest, yes, cooling it. Now get yourself a nice rubber spatula like this mess here I have in front of me. You want to get every bit of this chocolate out of there, because chocolate, obviously it's a brownie. Chocolate makes it brown, and it is the star of the show. Get it all in there. Now, this boiling water, just pour it into the bowl when you put it in the sink. That'll help to clean it and keep it from getting solid, and you have to scrub it with steel wool and hot water. Chocolate in the bowl. You want to mix this really, really well. You don't want to see any streaks of the eggs and sugar. You want to get everything completely well combined. Once again, use an electric beater if that makes you happy. Make sure you scrape the bottom and the sides of the bowl so that you're getting all that egg and everything mixed in there well. And this is what you should have at this point. Now, we need to add a few ingredients. First ingredient I want to add is just a splash of vanilla. Half a teaspoon at best. But being a cook, I don't really measure. So we just give it a splash. Get that mixed in there. Next we're going to come to our bacon. We're going to take 4 strips of that bacon. It's crisped up a little bit and it's cooled off to where we can handle it. And I want to dice this up. Now we're going to get a nice cutting board, good sharp knife, make sure it's got a good edge on it. And always, when you're cutting, keep your fingers curled under, keep them out of the way. I don't want to see anybody getting cut here. So we'll cut it into crosswise strips, and we'll take that pile and we'll cut it across again so that we have bits of bacon, and we'll sprinkle them through our brownie batter. Dear Lord, it's 7:45 in the morning, so I haven't had enough coffee to talk properly. Forgive me. Now the last item we need in our batter is 1 cup of flour. Now we're baking. This is very important that you measure these things out, because too much or too little is going to change the consistency of what we're doing. So here we have 1 cup of flour, and again, thoroughly mix. If you're using an electric beater, please start it on slow, the slowest speed that it has, because you've got flour here and you don't want to be wearing it, you want it in the brownie. Once you've got it past the powdery point to where it all seems to be hiding rather well, then you can go at it. Turn the speed up on your electric beater, or, you know, crank it out like I'm doing, because this is the closest thing to exercise I get every day. And this is the consistency of the brownie we're looking for. Perfect. Now we need to get it in a vessel and get it into our 350-degree oven, which was already preheated from cooking the bacon. Get our rubber spatula back. We want a good brownie pan. Now this one is 9 by 13. Perfect for this amount of batter that we've made. We're going to line it with aluminum foil. And you want to get a lot of aluminum foil so that you have, when you pull these brownies off, you're going to have handles to pick it up by and get them out of the pan. So just kind of tuck that under. Make sure it's good and tight in the corners so that your brownies have a good shape. Get some nonstick spray and give her a good shot. Next, we're going to take our brownie batter and we're going to scrape it all, every little bit of it, right into this pan. And make sure it's spread out nice and even throughout your pan. Now I bet you're wondering, what were we going to do with those other 4 strips of bacon? I haven't given up yet. We're going to take those and dice them the same exact way, and we're going to sprinkle them right on top. This way, if you're making another set of brownies without bacon, you'll know which ones are which, and it'll just make them look pretty when we're done. Once again, please practice safe knife skills. I don't want to hear that anybody cut their fingers doing this. It's not worth it. Well, these brownies are, but really, if it can be avoided, let's do that. So sprinkle this nice and evenly over the top. I like to sprinkle from a fairly high area. That way you get good coverage. Good even coverage. So this is what our brownies should look like. And now we're going to put them in a 350-degree oven for exactly 28 minutes. Set our kitchen timer for 28 minutes. Let's see what we got when we get back. Our brownies are now ready to come out of the oven. Now, Every oven is different. You have to kind of gauge it for your time on this. Now, with my oven, exactly 28 minutes works, because the temperature is accurate in this oven. Some ovens fluctuate. How do we know that the brownies are done? We take a toothpick, stick it right down in the middle, and if it comes out clean, we got brownies. Beautiful. If it comes out with goopy chocolate all over it, maybe you need to put it in. I'd go no more than 5 minutes at a pop, test it again. These are done. Now, if you can see the bits of bacon there in them, they've crisped up quite a bit. So they're going to add a nice texture, and hopefully we have a good flavor here. Like I said, I'm experimenting. What we will do next is let these sit for about an hour to cool off. Turn off your oven. Let them sit for an hour to cool off. You don't want to cut them yet. No, cutting hot brownies, you're just going to make a mess. We're going to cool them off for about an hour. Then we're going to wrap them, put them in the fridge. Why don't we just wrap them and put them in the fridge now? Because they're hot. They'll raise the temperature inside your refrigerator, and any of your other products in there may suffer because of that. So, let them cool for about an hour, wrap them up, stick them in the fridge for about 3 hours, and then we'll cut them. I'll come back and show you when they're ready, and we'll give them a taste and see how this experiment is working out. Okay, folks, it's been quite a few hours. Brownies sat for an hour. I covered them with aluminum foil, set them in the fridge, let them chill for about 3 hours or so, just to get them cool. That way we can cut them. And then you can let them sit on a plate, come back to room temperature, store them in the fridge, whatever you want to do. They'll be nice, thick, fudgy. We're ready to cut them now, so let's go ahead and do that and see what they taste like. So the first thing we'll need is a nice cutting board. We have our brownie pan. We're going to take off that top layer of aluminum foil. Nice and refrigerator cold. What you're going to do is place the cutting board over top of the pan, flip it like that, and this is why we have the longer pieces of aluminum that I told you about when we lined this pan, so that we can get everything out nice and easy. And we've got a handle and our non-stick spray. Without the non-stick spray, this stuff will be sticking like crazy. Now, aluminum foil is a little fragile. It may tear a bit. Don't freak out. It'll all come right off of there. And there we have a beautiful set of brownies. Yes, they're upside down, but we'll get to them. Now, we want to cut them. I found the best implement for this is a nice big pizza wheel. We'll cut her right down the middle here, and then cut that in half again on either side. Now, depending upon how big you want your brownies, you can do a 3-way cut on the top and have 4 pieces or just 2 cuts, and you'll have 3 for each row. I'm going with 3 cuts, just like I did in the other direction. So now we've got 16 brownies here, all relatively equal in size. And we'll display them on a nice plate. Like such. And there we have a beautiful plate of our bacon brownies. Okay, so they look pretty. How do they taste? Maple bacon and chocolate, absolutely wonderful together. I'm really quite glad that I did this. If you're a bacon fan, give these a try. You'll be surprised. You can add more bacon, less bacon, however you like. I think the next time I do it, I'm going to add a little bit more bacon, maybe another 4 strips or so. Mix them in there. Because the bacon's not as prevalent as I would like, but that's my personal taste. You always make things to your taste. I really don't think, though, that you're going to be disappointed with this if you are a fan of chocolate or a fan of bacon. Both, this is a win-win. Thank you for spending this morning with me, and come back next time and see what's cooking in Bert's Kitchen.